Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's having a wonderful night. We have an exciting live stream for you as we come off the heels of our annual event, which I've said this before, but I'm not being hyperbolic. It was truly one of the coolest things I've been a part of in my life, short of getting married and having kids. That is right up there with one of the greatest weekends. It was just absolutely amazing. I hope everybody that was there had a wonderful time. So we would encourage you guys to pour your favorite barrels for Hope pick tonight. Josh, Kim, and Brian, we're going to tell you guys why Brian's here, but welcome to the live stream. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great.
If you said something, I couldn't hear you. Oh yeah,
I'm muted. I'm doing great. But honestly, like me and Brian were right in sync. He said doing great when doing great came out of my mouth. So yeah, he's speaking for the both of us tonight, I guess.
Awesome. Well, it's such an exciting night. We hit our year one goals. We're going to talk about the year end event. The first thing I need to do is kind of catch up on some old business, tell you guys what last month's allocations were. And as always, guys, we have to give a huge shout out to Narav and A1 because they donated all the bottles or most of the bottles for the auction. And we raised just over $11,000. And those were bottles he gave us. We didn't buy those. So thank you to Narav. Thank you to A1. That's a lot of money going to charity. So super exciting. Now, to continue that, last month he donated Heaven Hill Grain to Glass Rye, a Booker's Batch 2 of 2024, a Weller Special Reserve, and then this month is Larceny B524 Eagle Rare and a Buffalo Trace Kosher Rye. So all great bottles that will be in the next year-end event auction. Which, believe it or not, guys, we've already started working on, so or talking about, I should say. So with that being said, let me kick it over to Josh, and he can tell you why Brian has joined us tonight. So Josh, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So, as you exist in an organization like this, there's always going to be things growing and changing and adapting. And, we're all volunteers here on the board, and Reggie has stepped up huge, and I keep joking behind the scenes that he saved the organization from me being the treasurer, but Reggie's had some life things going on, and he needs to step down as treasurer, and so I'm going to be raising a glass of the Middle West Dark Pumpernickel Rye Barrels for Hope pick because Reggie swore up and down he was not a rye guy, and this is one of his favorite picks. So I'm raising a glass to him and all he's done for us to make our goals possible this year. But obviously, with him stepping down, we had to fill those shoes and fill that role. And the first person I thought of was Brian, and Brian's been a member of Barrels for Hope, I think, from the beginning, or at least for a very long time. Also know Brian through Stuff and Whiskey. Kim here knows Brian, has been on live streams. I mean, I've known Brian for years. A fantastic guy. Also happened to help us. He was drawn at random to help us on the Four Roses pick. And that's where Lance got to meet Brian. But yeah, so I contacted Brian because I know he has a finance background. He can tell you a little bit more about his qualifications and what brings him into the treasurer role. But I hit him up and said, hey man, is this something that you would be interested in? And he even told me some more information that I didn't know, like the fact that he's already a treasurer for a private school. So he can fill you in on all that, but I'll turn the floor over to Brian, and I'm just so glad to have him on board. So I'm raising a glass to Reggie and thanking him for all that he did for us to make this first year possible. I don't think we would be where we're at right now without all the work that he's done. And I'm really looking forward, to having Brian on board as well. So, Brian, the floor is yours.
To Reggie.
Thanks, Josh. To Reggie. And good evening, everybody. For those who I haven't met, my name is Brian Miller, and it's an honor and a privilege to join the board. And as Josh mentioned, I joined Barrels for Hope from the beginning, and I've known Josh for like you said, years. A little bit personal about me. My wife Jessica and I live just south of Atlanta in a town called Noonan, and we have 9-year-old twins now, Beckett and Blakely, and we're actually in Williamsburg, Virginia right now. We spent the day in Busch Gardens today, having a blast here before school starts next week. But a little bit professional about me, I've spent the last almost 20 years in the financial space, about 10 years in aviation, all in finance, and then the most recent 10 years at actually Chick-fil-A in Atlanta. Also, I serve as the treasurer for a private school in Atlanta, as Josh mentioned. So really excited to join Barrels for Hope as on the board of directors, and really excited to serve this amazing group of people. So yeah, really excited. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, man. Couldn't be happier to have you on board. And like I said, you're the first person I thought of. I called Lance, I called Joe, and I called Lance, Joe. Who am I missing? Who did I call? But called Bill. Called Bill. Bill's not here tonight, so couldn't make it. He's swamped with some work stuff, but I called these guys and I was like, hey,
It was
Reggie's stepping down. He needs to make some changes, and we totally support that. But we gotta hold a fill, and like I said, you're the first person that popped to mind. So I just want to let everybody know here in chat that the organization is incredibly lucky to have had Reggie, and we're incredibly lucky to have had Brian stepping into those shoes. And man, just the future feels really, really bright for Barrels for Hope. I mean, we're coming off of this high that is the year one event, and we're going to talk about that. But yeah, we've got a lot of great stuff ahead, and to have Brian part of that is a huge asset to the community, to the organization, and it is going to be wonderful. So I am looking forward to it, and I raise a glass to Reggie, and I raise a glass to you, Brian. Cheers, brother.
Y'all.
Cheers. And just to kind of echo what Josh said when he called me and asked to talk to me about you, Brian, it was an easy yes. I'm always amazed. I said this at the year-end event. I'm always amazed at when we ask for board members to volunteer. We have no shortage of amazing people in this group. So Josh and I do not have any, well, I shouldn't speak. Josh is smarter than he gives himself credit for. I have no business being on this board. but it's I'm honored to have you on, Brian. And as far as Reggie goes, I'm gonna miss the guy so much on the board. It's definitely big shoes to fill. He was an amazing asset, put us on the right direction, and just don't be afraid to tell us no when we come to you with big dollar asks.
That was what Reggie was best at, keeping us lunatics in check.
So, your accountability buddy.
Yeah,
exactly. And just so everybody in chat watching knows as well, we're coordinating this with, Reggie is, it's a transition he needs to make, but he's getting Brian up to speed, and they're in contact, and this is going to be really seamless on the other end for you guys. But yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff in store. But Brian, thank you for taking time out of your vacation to come on here and introduce yourself to everyone. Those that are lucky enough to know you and call you a friend, this is a perfect fit. But for everyone else, just know that we got a good one.
That means a lot, and it means a lot, like I said, to join the board, and really looking forward to it. And like I said, serving this incredible community and what we do. So it's an honor. It's my honor.
Good deal, brother. Well, you're welcome to hang out, or if you need to go hang with family, I know you're on vacation, so
I'll hang out for a few minutes.
Oh, heck yeah. Awesome. Well, raise a glass of Brian in the chat, y'all. Let us know what you're sipping. I've seen some people comment already. We got I see Earl's out there with the Barrels for Hope Nashville Barrel Company pick, which is really fitting for our next topic of discussion, which if you were at the year-end event, and we'll get into how that all went, but at the very end of the event, Nashville Barrel Company, Mike and James, the owners, were there, and they came over. Mike was sitting at the table next to me, and he came over after we wrapped, and he's like, hey, just so you know, your next barrel, like everything goes to charity, your next barrel with us. And I mean, it just really caught me out of the blue, and I didn't even really know how to react. And I was a bit stunned, and I was like, okay, do you want me to, like, we're right here at the event. We just wrapped. People aren't out yet. Do you want me to say something? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. Cool. So I run up on the stage after everybody's been dismissed, turn the mic back on, and I'm like, hey, everybody, the next barrel that we pick at Nashville Barrel Company, it's all proceeds go to charity. And that's, I think the language I used was all proceeds go to charity, which I realized was a very unclear way of saying what actually is happening. They are donating an entire barrel to us at no cost to us. So with it as an included pick is a huge charity benefit. And we have been in discussion with them, logistically speaking, as to, what that looks like. How do we pull that off? What the timing looks like on all that. And we've got everything finalized other than the date. They have a run of barrels right now that they're very excited about. And I'm very excited about them too. And anybody that has tried some of their 5-year Kelvin stuff, if you know how epic these barrels can be, I mean, this is some of the best whiskey, in my opinion, some of the best whiskey that's ever been put in a bottle. So we're going to see what we can select there. And I think we're going to have a pretty good run of whiskey to choose from. And then obviously, we're going to get out of there with something amazing for you guys. We know we've got speaking of big shoes to fill, we've kind of outdid ourselves on the Barrels for Hope NBC pick. So we know we got to live up to that from year one. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge net benefit, and all credit to Mike and James for donating that to us. So you've got that to look forward to, and it's going to be a really good fall and winter. Again, timing these barrel picks out, it can be very difficult, but we've got, I think NBC, we're trying to target sometime in September. If we can, we may even have to do it sooner, but we'll figure that out. And then we'll have ECBP coming in after that. We should have Knob Creek right on the heels of that. We should have, we've got some other stuff in the works as well that you guys have seen on Discord. So got a lot of good stuff coming. You guys are going to kind of get hit like last year, where it's like every month or every other month, you're getting a pick kind of just coming at you nonstop. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good, but
it's going to be amazing. And the first year, it's feeling like the first year where I was super nervous about how we were going to get all these picks in. And now it's all just kind of lining up. And I think we're ahead of where we were last year, probably. And the NBC donation helped tremendously. I met Mike. I didn't know who Mike was, one of the owners of NBC, at the cocktail party. And what a nice, awesome guy that is, man. I went and got him a drink. I still didn't know who he was. I talked to him for a while, and I don't even know what we talked about, how I didn't know. But later, Dusty Dan was like, "You want to go meet the owner of NBC?" Yeah, sure. He walked up. I was like, "Oh, I've already met him. I didn't know that was Mike." But what an awesome guy, man. He was great to talk to.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Nashville or what, but they're just really down to earth over there, and just good dudes, care a ton about charity. They were really moved by the annual event, which I think honestly is probably the perfect transition to pitch it over to Kim, and we can kind of get a little bit of the annual event recap started here, which is going to be a big part of the evening here. And if you were there in chat, or if you were there at the event and you're in chat tonight, let us know what your favorite part of the annual event was, some of the highlights for you, and we can kind of talk about those. I'm also seeing that Brian's getting a fair bit of grief over being a Bulldogs fan, which I think is fair and warranted, to be clear. That is the board's stance, or at least my stance. If he's the first person I thought of and he's a Bulldogs fan, that's how good he is. So
yeah, nobody can be perfect.
Exactly. But yeah, Kim, you want to take it away?
Sure. So
raise a glass to Kim, y'all.
Yeah, Kim put her heart and soul into that. It was amazing.
And it showed.
To everyone in the organization. So for all of you who came to the event, I hope you had a great time. I loved getting to meet all y'all. It was so much fun. I think the Starlight pick turned out amazing, and 2 barrels or a barrel and a half, I think will be great. We just got the labels for them this week and they look awesome. So more will come on that. It will go up for pre-sale on Sealbox. So as soon as we have dates and logistics and all of that, we will certainly share it. Aside from meeting everyone and Starlight, getting the 4 Roses pick in our hands before the event to give to anybody who was at the event that was able to get a bottle. Awesome. I am very sad because my plan was to be sipping on that 4 Roses pick tonight, and I got stuck with flight delays, so I am not home. I am in a hotel room drinking a very nice bourbon from the bar downstairs. But it was awesome. And then I think the culmination of everything was Saturday night. So it was beautiful. It was moving. It was exciting. And the funds that we raised for charity in year 1 was awesome. And we are off to such a good start in year 2 that I'm excited about planning next year's event. And yes, we did start talking about that last night. So very excited. But I'll pause and let others talk about, Lance, Josh, what your favorite parts were.
You want to go, Josh, or you want?
Go ahead.
One other thing I'll say, by the way, is Josh, Lance, and I had the best bus.
He did have the best.
That's a true statement. I think that's really why Bill and Joe didn't show up tonight. They were like, you know what? I don't even know if we can show our faces around here right now. They're going to bring up the bus thing.
Yeah, it's really hard to put into words. Everything was just so amazing from Friday night at the Spire, just going around to each table, starting to meet everybody that I hadn't met and talk to them. And then obviously Starlight was just out of this world. The best catered food I've ever had. It was just ridiculous.
I don't know how they did that. I
don't either. It was
Lance
so
is not joking. The best catered food I've ever had in my life. It was unreal.
Yeah, it was amazing. And a lot of the people that were on the pick or at the event came up to me and said, I didn't know we were getting lunch today. so I think that was a pleasant surprise for a lot of people at the event. What really impressed me with everybody was, it's so funny when Josh and Kim and Mark and I went down to Starlight the Wednesday before and started vetting barrels for the pick. Andrew poured us the first barrel and I said, we could stop right here. This thing is fantastic. And it was nothing fancy. It wasn't anything finished, which is usually what you think of with Starlight. But credit to our group. I think the blueberry port and the honey, which probably sells best on paper, finished last. And the group actually picked the straight bourbon, which is just, you guys are going to be blown away. I mean, I know when you think of Starlight, you may not think of great bourbons, but I haven't had a bourbon from Starlight in a couple years, and that straight bourbon they're doing amazing things. They have really came a long way since the last time I tried it. It's just fantastic. And then the second barrel you guys picked has a really cool story. It's fantastic. It's like this vanilla custard bomb, but it's double oaked and finished with staves from 5 different regions of France that, where they were cutting these trees down. They found bullets from Battle of the Bulge. I mean, it's got a lot of history. Very, very cool. So I'm so excited that, we obviously have some bourbon nerds in the group, and you guys picked the 2 right barrels. So that was exciting. And then obviously Saturday night was just, I felt the weight of it. I was fine. I didn't until I walked into the banquet room, and then I started like, man, I got to pull my shit together because I was just about to lose it. Every person I looked at, and I kind of felt like I wasn't myself Saturday night because I was just trying not to, the weight of the whole thing, of all the culmination of everything coming together, and then when the charities spoke, and Josh and I got up there and cried like babies, and And then to see Joe and Dusty Dan, who aren't criers like Josh and I, break down. And it was a heavy night, but really one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. And to everyone that was there, especially just from me to you guys, thank you guys so much for showing Renee so much love. She came home. She's like, man, I really felt loved over the weekend, which was very, very cool. It was just an amazing weekend. So thank you all for being a part of it, making it possible. While Josh gives his take on everything, I'll kind of flash some pictures up for you guys as well. But Josh, you can go ahead because I don't want to start crying.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen tonight. Yeah, I mean, it really was an incredible experience. And just to kind of paint the picture for you guys a little bit here, keep in mind we had representatives from every charity there. A lot of charities brought some type of recipient along, like, the Make-A-Wish Foundation brought a family who had a young boy with brain cancer, and at the end, like, yep, it's gonna happen now. I'm gonna lose it. Just seeing him, like, at the end of it, he was just like, they're like, do you want to say anything? And he just said, thank you for my trip. And then and then they let us know that $10,000 donation is fully funding a wish for a kid. That's amazing. Folds of Honor brought a Gold Star mom whose husband had died in combat, and the children were able to go to college because of Folds of Honor. It was incredible. To Right Love brought a representative who had volunteered for the organization for years and years and years, just as a complete volunteer, and then lost her uncle to suicide, and how they just rallied around her and showered her with love. And then obviously, Renee, just the beacon that she is there for American Cancer Society, and just the whole thing was just surreal. It was a very surreal experience Saturday night. It was definitely the highlight. Much like Lance, I thought I was cool, calm, and collected. And then Jason from Mash and Drum gets up there, and I don't even know what he said. It was right there. This is at the beginning. I took a couple of photos, and he's like, hey, everybody. And then I was like, yep, I'm crying now, because to look up at the ceiling, because I was like, this is really happening.
His speech was so good, man. So I wish we would have had it taped, but we were in the moment. It was so good, though.
Yeah, I believe it was Make-A-Wish told Joe after the fact. They said, how many years have you guys been doing this? And Joe's like, oh, this is our first year. And they're like, what? Wait, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, this is our first year. It's our first annual event. And they were like, this is crazy. They're like, we go to these things all the time, and organizations, might raise a few $100s, maybe a few $1,000s at most for a long time. And to have an event at this level, this well put together, like, we don't see this until organizations are 8, 9, 10 years down the road. You guys are here already in year one. You should be very proud of that. And, huge testament to Kim, and huge testament to you guys for believing in what we're doing here. But all the charities there were blown away. Saturday night was definitely very special. Backtracking a little bit, Friday night, bottle sharing and meeting in the Spire beforehand, and then doing bottle shares that night was an absolute blast. Getting to meet people, getting to see everybody. I mean, look at those faces. It was a fantastic time. And I think there was something for everybody there, pours wise. I mean, Dan brought Dusty whiskey. I tried some pre-prohibition 1911 distilled, 1933 bottled American Medicinal Spirits Company stuff that Dan brought. Like, it was insane, the bottles that were getting shared, the samples that were getting shared. It was just an absolutely wonderful time. And then Starlight really did blow every possible expectation out of the water. The bus ride there was a blast. I think we were warming up our pallets for the pick with Weller 12 and the Makers Barrels for Hope pick on the way there. And then we got straight to business doing the barrel pick. I think we were 100-person barrel pick, nearly 100 people. I don't know the final count, but nearly 100 people, and it was balloted. And to Lance's point here, like when we went in to pre-select these barrels, the very first Andrew at Starlight, the barrel manager, he's like, I'd really like to start you guys off on some straight bourbon. And I'll be honest, I wanted to be polite, but I also wanted to tell him that I've just never been not only not impressed by Starlight bourbon, but I just haven't really liked any of the straight bourbons I've tried. So I was a little hesitant, but I was like, you know what, let's get a baseline. To Lance's point, to back him up here, Andrew gave us that first sample, and I think we were all looking at each other. We were like, oh my goodness, this tastes like 8-year amazing bourbon. What in the world is this, Andrew? And he's like, it's our straight bourbon. And we're like, there's no way. And he's like, yeah, it's 4.5 years old. And I'm like, that it doesn't work. And then at the barrel pick on Saturday, Jason from Mash and Drum got a barrel from Starlight a couple years ago that was like 7 years and change. And he tasted the first one. And he said that 4.5 year tasted, it's comparable to that 7+ year that he had years ago. So that's saying something. I mean, It was my number one choice. It was Aaron's number one choice. It was the unanimous first place, but I was kind of, let's be honest, I was prowling the room. I was trying to get a bead. I wasn't trying to sway anybody, but I was trying to get a bead on where everybody's preferences lied, and heard a lot of people talking about the double oaked barrel. And so I asked for a show of hands after the barrel pick what everybody's second place barrel was. And it was the double oaked. And it was, almost a lot of the hands in the room went up. Almost well over half. So we asked if we should get that one too, and people were on board. So that it's a French oaked, double oaked with toasted heads. It is so good. And if you get both of them, it's really amazing to compare the base whiskey to the double oaked in French oak. It's a very, very cool tasting experience, these two barrels. So, and then the food, like Lance said, was incredible. The tour, what was that peach? It was like peach cobbler with vanilla ice cream from their creamery on site.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's ridiculous.
That vanilla ice cream was some of the best vanilla ice cream I've ever tasted in my life. Sorry.
Josh, real quick, going back to the barrel pick, when I was kind of canvassing the room, and a lot of people were telling me they liked the blueberry port, and a lot of people were telling me they hated the blueberry port. So I quickly ran to Jason. I said, hey, we might have a problem. If the blueberry port is picked, will you go in on another barrel with us? Because I was like, a lot of people are going to be really upset. But luckily, the straight and the double, absolute. Well, the straight bourbon, I had 3 or 4 times the votes as the other barrels. So
the straight had double the votes of the second place, the double oaked, and then the honey and the blueberry had about 2/3 of the votes as second place.
Yeah.
We had all the ballots. Lance showed you the photo of the little checkmark ballots. And so I think Kim and Mark, myself and Aaron, I think Joe and Jess were all sitting at a table together, and Kim was kind of putting just the votes, like, here's all the stacks for barrel 1, which was the straight, barrel 2, which was the honey, barrel 3, which was the double oak, barrel 4, which was the blueberry port. She just separated them out by votes, and we didn't even have to. We did count, to be clear. We counted twice from 2 people, but the stack for the straight bourbon was so thick. It was very clear what the best barrel was, and the double oaked is not far behind. And like I said, it's a really interesting twist. So it's just a really, really cool barrel picking experience, and I hope everybody that was there that got to do it really enjoyed it. We tried to take you. I told several people that I wasn't going to tip my hat on anything they were tasting, but we wanted, as a group pre-selecting the barrels, wanted to take you guys on a little bit of a flavor journey through what Starlight had to offer. And I think we did that very well, and it seemed to be very well received by everybody. So, and I'm buying, hopefully, look, these are going to come out for pre-order, like Kim said, through Sealbox. If you are in a state that Sealbox doesn't ship to, again, we would encourage you to try to make connections within the Barrels for Hope community. try to find somebody that can help you get a bottle. You can even try emailing Stillbox and seeing if they can work with you on arrangements that may be able to help them, help you get it in a convenient way. So that's worth checking into as well. These are barrels well worth buying. I'm actually going to be buying 2 of each, and I will, if I can, I don't want to short anybody. I actually want 3 of the straight bourbon because Aaron, like an absolute lunatic, put hers in Coca-Cola, and it is the best bourbon and Coke I have ever tasted in my life, and it's not even close. It's amazing how well it goes. Like the cola flavors and everything, it's insane. So I need a 3rd bottle just for whiskey and Cokes.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's so good. But yeah, and shout out to Kim for making these awesome cards, and everybody loved these, Kim. Everybody was so impressed. It was just, it's just one of those little touches that's just it's like Kim gave you a little hug or something.
Yeah, so she cut those and engraved them with her laser. She did these for everybody in attendance. So these had lanyards on them that we wore so everybody could be identified. And then in addition to that, after you're done, there was a cork sticker in the gift bag, and now they're coasters.
The coolest thing.
Are you kidding me? The level of thought and detail is off the charts.
We could have came up with that, Josh. Come on.
Yeah. Again, we would literally be drinking whiskey in a parking lot until people got kicked out or arrested. That's what the event would look like if Lance and I put it together. But yeah, on that note, I mean, Saturday night, again, really special. I want to, again, echo Give 270 helping us out with the bottle auction, making everything legal and legit. We raised a bunch of money through that. In addition to Natural Barrel donating the barrel, incredible. Like those 2 things already swing us so far in the positive from where we started last year or at the beginning of year 1. It's crazy. And then in addition to that, the 4 Roses, as we told you guys on the live stream, this was marked up a little bit specifically to help raise money for charity. And I think just by quick and dirty math, I don't want to speak I'm definitely not qualified as treasurer, but quick and dirty math is based on the yield and the slight markup we put on each bottle. This is the 4 Roses pick alone is going to yield about $4,500 more to charity in addition to everything else that we're doing. And 4 Roses takes their charity barrels very seriously. So if you can provide proof that you raise money with a barrel, like we just did with this one, it gives us a leg up and a better chance of getting future picks with them as well. So, that was kind of the impetus and the thought process on our end. Will it guarantee we get a 2nd barrel next year? No, it will not. But it certainly works heavily in our favor. And even if it doesn't, plus $4,500 more for charity, a couple extra bucks on the bottle is an amazing win. And if you guys, I've seen a lot of people are drinking this in the chat that got it at the annual event. This is easily, and I'm not being hyperbolic or anything. And Brian, I know you don't have your bottle right now, but you were on the pick. This is easily one of the best 4 Roses picks I've ever tasted.
I'm getting a lot of tobacco on it too that I wasn't necessarily getting on the pick, but as my bottles opened up a little bit, oh my God, this thing is ridiculous. And the finish, like Kim said in the video, if you guys watch the 4 Roses video, the finish is forever on it. It is just such a beautiful pick.
And as a reminder to everybody, this is if I can get some focus here, this is an OESF 11-year, 1 month, 124.4 proof, tier 5. I have found, personally speaking, the recipe matters very little on 4 Roses picks for me. I want age and tier usually correlates to proof, but I really want double digits on a 4 Roses pick, and I'd love to see 4, 5, and 6 tiers because that gets your proof up there a little bit, and that really drives flavor. I think they say, in the little booklet here, it says the F yeast strain, OESF, is supposed to be minty, fruity, and full body. This is not minty at all.
No.
At all. This is one of the richest, darkest as Lance said, it's like cherry, tobacco. You know, you get some of the high rice, or it's the low rye recipe, but you get some of that rye spice coming through. Not in a hot, spicy way, but it adds some dynamics to the pour, and then the finish is crazy. And this is shipping. If you didn't get yours at the annual event, Lance can confirm this, but this is shipping out on August 3rd to all members.
Correct.
They got a bottle.
Yep. And this thing is just so syrupy too. Good grief.
That's what I love about it.
And we are working to get Brent to come on a live stream with us and do a sip along of this pick after everyone gets their bottles.
Oh, I can't wait. That'll be awesome.
And if you're not familiar with Four Roses, because there's a lot of people out there that are just like, Four Roses, whatever. Brent, as in Brent Elliott, the master distiller, is going to come on a live stream, and he has a sample of this and has agreed to come on the live stream. So we just have to set it up and coordinate schedules. And obviously, you know, whenever he tells us he's available, we'll make ourselves available. But that will be very cool to be able to actually drink our pick with the master distiller himself. And again, credit to Kim for making this happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I saw a lot of good comments as far as the annual event goes. Again, it was great meeting everybody. A lot of people are talking about how great it was to meet people in the community. I know the room was rocking. I had the glassware in my room, and I think that was like a, you know, moths to a flame. Like people are like, well, I forgot, I didn't have a glass with me. I need to go get a Glen. And they just get the Glen from my room. And then the next thing you know, they're like, oh, there's a lot of let's start pouring stuff. So the room was rocking until Aaron shut the show down every night.
Were Barrels for Hope members on each side of your room?
Oh, we were swamped.
Oh no, I mean the rooms adjacent to the suite. Were they Barrels for Hope members? Because there were times in your room where I could barely hear. We were having so much fun. It was crazy.
Yeah. I know I had Paula and Justin Schmidt were on one side. I don't know who was on the other side, but we didn't get any noise complaints.
No, I know. It's amazing.
That's good.
But other than us, I think it was a bunch of kids in the hotel for the basketball tournament, and they were making a lot of noise too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Playing hide and seek on the elevators and everything else. Yeah, it was.
But I mean, we weren't crazy. It was just normal talking, but it just echoed, and it was just so loud in those rooms with everybody talking about bourbon and having such a great time. I think everybody was on really good behavior. Honestly, everybody was great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was again, everybody that was there, if you were there, credit to you in chat. Everybody was incredibly cool. Everybody was incredibly, you know, I think we represented the organization very well, both on a public front and also just like being able to be together and hang out and share pours together. And like I said, I mean, I got to try Russell's 15 for the first time at the annual event. Insane bottle. Insane that I even got to try it. That was amazing. There was a Willet Purple Top floating around. I wish I could remember. I mean, I've actually have photos on my phone of some of the stuff I got to try. Dusty Dan brought a bunch of old whiskey from like the 40s to the 60s.
There was Pre-Fire Heaven Hill. There was
a 24-year-old Pre-Fire Heaven Hill. A bunch of picks there. If you're a Scotch person, Balvenie Portwood 21-year was there, which is an incredible pour. There's a Four Roses limited edition there from 2016. People brought Foursquare Rum, which is crazy pricey. An amazing Jack Daniel's single barrel, barrel proof rye. I brought all of our NBC picks from this year. Plus we had all of our Barrels for Hope picks in every room. So people were really hitting up the Barrels for Hope NBC pick, which was really cool. Old Charter Oak, the Willet that was there, which was a 10-year purple top, which was 129.6 proof. It was so good. And I'm not the biggest Willet fan, but that was so good. Jack Daniel's 12-year, Parker's Heritage double char, or the double barreled special release from a couple years ago, Heaven Hill Select stock, Dusty Old Forester. Can you guys see this?
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. 1950s, right?
It was incredible. Incredible. Yeah, I mean, it was an absolutely amazing time. But yeah, that really, I mean, how do you pick a favorite event? I mean, it really was Saturday night, but it's the culmination of everything. You know, Saturday night really was the culmination of the day at Starlight, the pick, the food, the community, the camaraderie, the Friday night bottle shares the night before, the bus rides on the way over. Didn't even talk about the fact that we're drinking, you know, Taylor Small Batch and our ECBP Barrels for Hope Founders Pick on the bus ride back. Yeah, Mike saying distilled in 1951, that Old Forester.
It was awesome to meet Mike too. There's so many people. It was just so awesome to put faces to names or names to faces, and just a great time.
And something we haven't talked about that is worth mentioning is the cocktail class. So Heather Wibbles, the cocktail Contessa, came in and did a cocktail class for a group of us. And she just, I think, knocked it out of the park. We did a build your own adventure cocktail format. We were like tasting different kinds of bitters and smelling different things together to ultimately make a custom old fashioned and a custom Manhattan. And it was pretty awesome.
Kim, it was so funny. Renee brought in an old fashioned to the room after the class. She had a blast, by the way, but she goes, "Here, taste this." And so we tasted it. She goes, "What is that?" And I go, "It tastes like an old fashioned with black walnut bitters." And she goes, "How do you do that?" I was like, that wasn't that hard, honestly.
Lance, you should definitely start a YouTube channel.
She, like most people, wouldn't have been impressed, but Renee was just absolutely blown away because she had never even heard of black walnut bitters because she knows nothing about the stuff. But we were cracking up.
Well, the cocktail class was so good. Aaron and I went to that, and first off, let's just not ticket far exceeded the ticket price. Honestly, I mean, we got 3 cocktails, 6 ounces of whiskey to begin with. And then I learned so much. I learned absolutely, like, there were things I didn't even consider when making a cocktail that I learned in that class that I'm absolutely implementing in our home going forward, which I'm very excited about. I've actually been out bitters and cherry shopping and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I've been going a little bit nuts since the cocktail class, but it was a great time.
And she puts on very high and expensive cocktail classes. And she donated all of her time to this. She donated her custom blended bitters. We paid for the alcohol and the mixers. And that's why you got so much with the ticket price.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool.
I see Earl in chat was asking, what's the average price of an NBC barrel? I don't know if they want me putting their business in the streets like that, but I'll tell you the average price of a bottle, depending on what you're buying, is kind of the floor right now is $100. It can go up to $200, but kind of the floor is $100, and they usually yield about 170 to 190 bottles. So, you know, you can kind of do the math on that to see what the retail price would be, and then wholesale is a little bit less than that, but not a lot less than that, to be honest with you. So, you know, it's quite a big donation on NBC's part. And there we go. Cocktail class was amazing.
Yeah, lots of love coming in for the cocktail class.
I have to tell you guys, with the NBC pick, when we set this up, be on the lookout on Discord and on Patreon. We'll post a poll. You know, we'll get information on who can attend once we have a date. But NBC is amazing. I'm very thankful to know those guys. They're going to let us have 20 people on the pick. So we don't typically get to bring anywhere near. Distilleries are sometimes they're like Four Roses with 6 people max. They're not stretching at all. ECBP is 8. Oftentimes 8 is the absolute cap, period. And they're going to let us have 20 people. So that's going to open up a lot of spots. I think almost all the board members right now, at least on one of the proposed dates, can make it. So we'll have quite a few board members there. And then we're still going to have a ton of spots for members to come along. So be on the lookout for that as far as dates go. And yeah, it's going to be a blast. So
Yeah, that was
Get
really
ready.
cool. And I remember when Josh and I had the idea of doing this, one of the things we wanted, we've talked about it many times, is for people to go on barrel picks and have that bucket list item checked off. And I was thinking about this at the year-end event. We had like, I don't know the exact number, but I mean, we got to take 100 people on one for the Starlight. So we probably ran 120 some people through barrel picks our first year. And now, you know, we didn't know how we're going to do in year 2, but we're already starting off with, 20 for the NBC pick. It's pretty incredible. It makes me very happy that we're getting to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Earl's saying Dan slipped me a 1974 Armagnac that was to die for. Yeah, you got to be careful around Dusty Dan.
Yeah,
he'll just be like, "Hey, just pull a sample out of his pocket," and you're like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Just drink it." And you're like,
"Yeah, you guys gave me that."
You just get lost in his eyes, and you're just like, "Okay, pour it in my glass, and I'll drink it."
What was the old Granddad? Was that an 81
or 89? That was the first. I've been jonesing to try an old Granddad 114 from the 80s, National Distillers era, forever, because I've heard so much praise about it. And Dan was like, "Hey, I've heard you talk about this. Brought this for you."
That was awesome.
For a little bit. Yeah, that was amazing. Gary's talking about the Jack Daniel's 12. Oh my. Yeah.
I love that bottle. Love it.
Yeah, it's lots of love for the bottle shares in the chat. It was an incredible time.
The last Barrels for Hope pick set the bar real high. We keep setting it high.
Hey Lance, how was the Pursuit excursion?
The Pursuit was awesome. It was surreal to meet Kenny, because normally I hear his voice when I'm mowing the yard. So to actually have him like standing in front of me, it was weird. They had just put a fan in there and they didn't read the directions. So it not only was it like 100 degrees in the warehouse, but it smelled like mildewy socks instead of bourbon, which kind of sucked. But they ran us through their the 3 components of their blend, which was really cool to taste all 3. And then we tasted the blend. And then we tasted their toasted, which was fantastic. And then they poured us their double oaked, and that's been my surprise pour of the year so far. I mean, I'm normally, I say this all the time, I'm not the craziest fan of double oak stuff. So when he poured it for us, I was like, I had heard a lot of buzz, but I just knew for certain that I was not going to be a fan of it. And man, I was blown away by that. It is a caramel butterscotch bomb that, man, for the price, if you can get your hands on one, I mean, it is fantastic. I can't wait to try their double oaked rye, but that double oaked bourbon, which I'm going to taste in my live stream tonight, man, it's so good. They're doing awesome stuff there. But it was great to meet those guys.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good comments about the Pursuit excursion, and I think it was really surprising for people to be able to taste their individual components, because a lot of people haven't tasted Finger Lakes Distilling, and a lot of people don't even know that the Tennessee whiskey that they use is Tennessee Distilling Group, which is out of Columbia, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville, about 30 miles. Everybody sees Tennessee, they think Dickel. It's not Dickel. They've got 8-year stuff from Tennessee Distilling Group, which is a distillery that started years ago with the express intent to be the MGP of Tennessee. So all they do is make whiskey to source out to other people. And it is very good whiskey. So the fact that they're using that stuff already is incredible. And then granted, they're well vested at Bardstown. So they got a ton of really great whiskey coming to them, contract distilled through Bardstown. And one of the best things when we were there doing, I see the Bourbon Jerk saying the S&W double oak pick is Chef's Kiss. I love that thing. When we were there, I think we were one of the very first people to do a double oaked pick. As far as I know, the first, and all credit to Joe for setting that up. But when they were talking to us about it, they were telling us their Tennessee Distilling Group and their Bardstown stuff is a higher barrel entry proof, but the Finger Lakes is a lower barrel entry proof. So to get to that 108 proof point that all of their stuff comes out at, they proof their whiskey instead of proofing it with water like so many distilleries do. They proof their whiskey with whiskey. So they use the Finger Lakes to kind of bring the proof point down and balance out the blends. And I was like, okay, I've been on a lot of tours. I've never heard anybody say they proof their whiskey with whiskey. If you guys aren't telling that to every single person you meet, you're messing up from a marketing standpoint. Look, far be it from me to give Kenny and Ryan any marketing advice whatsoever, but I felt emboldened in that moment that was one of the most brilliant things I'd ever heard. And I think it shows in the end product that they put out. It's very good.
Yeah. So in my whiskey of the years, I always review only whiskeys that I found and I was able to buy on the shelf or in a distillery. But I couldn't have like got it from a manager, or it can't be something super allocated. And I always take cost into account. That's going to be in my bourbon of the year running for sure. With the price, I mean, you can only get them in at the distillery, but I don't know what the distribution eventually will be like, but they've got a winner on their hands with that, man.
Well, you know, we talked about during the Dark Arts pick, we talked about how the white port was Fat Kid whiskey, and the double oaked Pursuit is definitely, it's literally like a liquefied Werther's in a glass.
Yeah, it really is.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Mike Booth was making fun of me. He said I can finally mainline a Snickers bar. That's fair.
Don't get me started on Snickers bars. The king of all candy bars. Aaron and I have this argument all the time. It's ridiculous. Anybody who says Snickers isn't the best is, I don't know what planet you're living on.
So yeah, Kim, it was great. It was a lot of fun. They're doing awesome stuff. I mean, the weekend couldn't have been any better. It was just perfect. It was amazing all around. I have no.
Yeah, it almost went too well. Like, I don't even know what we do. I mean, we've already started talking about ideas, and Kim. So for everybody that doesn't know, so a little bit of peek behind the curtain. We do these the last Thursday of every month, the live streams here. But the night prior, we always have our board meeting. That's our monthly board meeting. And we were talking about old business and new business on the board meeting. And Kim is like, all right, who's ready to talk about year 2 annual event? And I'm like, hold on a minute. Like, can we just take a breath? And Kim's like, no, I have ideas and I have this and that. So like, yeah, it's all, and we've got more runway this time. And we've got everything we learned from this first annual event. Year 2 is going to be incredible. So if you came to year 1, get ready for year 2 now. If you didn't make it to year 1 and you're hearing all this about how awesome it was, just know that even the words that we're saying couldn't properly relay how amazing of an event it was, especially the Saturday night event with how impactful it was and how emotional it was. A lot of people came up to me and said they don't think there was a dry eye in the house for just how impactful it was. So we're just going to keep on, taking it up a notch for year 2. It's going to be that much better. So
if you weren't crying Saturday night, you're broken.
Look, buy one less bottle of some mid-shelf, whatever, put that money aside, get ready for the annual ticket event, down the road, just get ready. You do not want to miss this.
I was joking because like a month ago, I remember in our board meeting, making sure, like suggesting maybe we skip a year so Kim doesn't quit. And then we get on the next board meeting, Kim's already got lined up year 2. Like, I guess I didn't need to worry about anything. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And it's great to see the love shown in the comments for everybody that really enjoyed themselves. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're already off to, we started with an idea, and it look what we did in a year and a half, So like, we're so far ahead thanks to the Four Roses barrel and the money it raised, thanks to the bottle auction and the money it raised, thanks to NBC donating a barrel and what it raised, and all the things that we've learned. We're just so much further along than we ever were at the beginning of this, or even 6 months in. So the future is very, very bright, and that's very exciting, I think, for all of us board members, and we hope it's exciting for you guys as well.
Yeah. I learned a lesson very early on in my life that if you have something you're passionate about, even if it looks impossible, just jump and do the thing, figure it out as you go. And that's, I mean, I remember the first call Josh and I had, we're like, how in the world are we going to even navigate this? And we're like, to hell with it. Let's just jump, man. Let's go. And it's working out. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't get to say on stage Saturday night at the annual event that I wanted to, and this is a joke I've made to many people in my personal life before, but I don't know if I've made it on this stream or not. And if I have, you're going to hear it again. But I say you got to be careful who you hang out with. You might accidentally mess around and start a charity. So mind the company you keep, folks. It's dangerous out there.
Mike asked if someone wanted to donate money to Barrels for Hope. Is that possible? Yeah, actually, Mike, if you just go to Barrels for Hope, you can send them to barrelsforhope.com and click on the charity tab. And then you'll see there's 2 buttons, one to join or one to donate. And you can donate straight through that. So.
Great question. And yeah, the website is looking good. We've got Lance has done the work on putting up our 4 pillars with the photos of the checks and a snippet of some of this stuff is I think everybody that was there on Saturday night can attest to just how personal this organization is to so many people. And you heard from the 4 founders, but there's even there are other board members that this stuff really resonates with. And there's so many people that connected with 1 or 2 or even multiple stories that were shared on stage. And yeah, this is something special we're doing together. And that's, again, this is an idea that we had, but this is all the credit in the world to you guys for seeing the vision and believing in what we're doing and wanting to be a part of it as well, because we can't do it without you. So, as we kind of draw to a close here, if you have any questions or anything you want addressed in the chat, make sure to drop that in there here at the end. But we do try to keep these fairly brief, and Lance has got his stream, so make sure you check that out. But I'm going to raise my glass of this incredible Four Roses pick, which I had a pour of Calumet 16, which, this is a great bottle. But this Four Roses pick is nuts, y'all.
It's so good.
It's nuts. This is very good whiskey. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm in love with this bottle. I will say Jason Calori from Mash and Drum tried it at a bottle share and then immediately started bidding on a bottle in the year-end auction, and he got his bottle. So,
yeah. Josh, I'll add to the charity talk too, because one of the things that really gave me, honestly, was giving me goosebumps all night was talking to all the representatives from each of the charities and seeing how, like, obviously we didn't plan it, but how they were like interwoven. And like the American Cancer Society guy had, his wife had breast cancer, and I think he had a relative in the military and a mom with mental health issues. And every single charity person was kind of the same way. It was really crazy to see how they were all connected, and how well the 4 charities got along that were there. I mean, they were having a blast together. So it was special. It was really special.
Yeah, it's no accident that we chose these pillars. We all have personal ties to them, but they affect us all in some form or fashion. And I think that's, was kind of the ethos of the organization in the beginning, was how can we make this thing both personal to us, but also meaningful to everyone else as well. And I don't know anybody that's not touched by cancer or mental health over the course of their lifetime, whether it's themselves or someone they love. And then military, whether you're in or not, it affects us all. And people give up a lot for, I did not serve, but people give up a lot for me to have the freedoms that I have, including the ultimate sacrifice. And so for that to be involved, and then for children, obviously, like it's Make-A-Wish, but that little man up there You know, he had his jersey on, and he was a little quiet, but I gave him a fist bump after, told him he did a great job. You know, he was up there for Make-A-Wish because of cancer. So yeah, very, very interconnected and very, very moving.
He loved Jason's Jordans too.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a good kid. He's got his head on straight.
Great kid. Well, I don't see any questions. But I hope you guys all had a wonderful time at the event, and I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on these Four Roses picks because they're ridiculous. And then, man, we've got a great Elijah Craig barrel proof coming out. I haven't tasted it, but I'm sure it's fantastic. I've tasted the Knob Creek, and I know that's going to blow people away. And then the NBC, I've never even had a bad NBC pick, so I can't wait for that. It's just there's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pipeline.
Definitely.
And Brian joining us. You're not as good looking as Reggie, but that's okay.
I try, but yeah, I can't fill his shoes, but I'll do my best.
So happy to have you on board, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you so much. Appreciate all of you guys in chat, everybody that came to the annual event and just being a part of this. I mean, the annual event doesn't happen without you guys being here. This organization doesn't happen without you guys being here. I'm honestly, like, that was the thing, that the gravity of the fact that it was really happening at the annual event, it really blew me away. And even still, if I think about it for too long, I start getting teary-eyed. So all because of you guys. So
yep.
Raising my glass to Reggie on the way out, to Brian on the way in, to each of you guys for making this a part of for making this what it is, and for being a part of what it is, and to year 2 and everything that it is beyond. So cheers all.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Love you guys.